How is it going, you lovely lot? Welcome back to the channel, and I'm here to spread some Christmas cheer before we get into things today. It's Monday as you watch this, Christmas Eve's tomorrow, and I'm here to let you know there's videos throughout this week and next week as usual. So buckle up, get ready, because today we're no longer in the promotion spots. Yeah, we're down in third. And whilst you might be sat there thinking, well, Jack, maybe a priority should be trying to get back into the top two, I've been distracted because we're in the FA Cup quarter-final. Got drawn against Liverpool away. Yeah, today should be fun. Yes, folks, a warm welcome back. It's episode number 39 of Parks of Prem today here with Wanderers, and as you can see, we've lost our two most recent league games, and with that, we are now behind Bournemouth. Yeah, I feel like this was somewhat predictable. Now, of course, on Friday, we ended the episode with two defeats against Birmingham and Fulham. We survived deadline day, and to be fair, to kick things off, we went on an okay little run of form. We beat Coventry 4-3 in an FA Cup fourth round replay. That was nice. A 0-0 draw against Lincoln. Not ideal, if I'm being honest. I think they're about to get relegated, so the fact we couldn't beat them was a problem. But in our next two games, some really good performances. 4-2 win against Sheffield Wednesday was great. Sheffield Wednesday in and around the playoffs. And then in our very next game, Rashid Mohammed coming back from an injury. Of course, he broke his foot. He bagged a hat-trick against West Brom. That was something to scream and shout about. A great performance by him there. Actually takes his goal tally to 7 goals in 15 league games. Considering he started less than half of those 15 games, it's actually quite a good return. This here, though, was definitely a game where we made the most of the chances that came our way. We were not better than West Brom by any means. We were just more clinical. It was, however, a really good team performance. After that, we had the FA Cup fifth round where we went through by virtue of an own goal against Luton. Not a convincing result, this one, but we did manage to muster up the score that was required to get it to the quarterfinals, which, as I've already said, is a great achievement. A Liverpool away is going to be an interesting one. Might help out our finances a little bit. In these recent run of games, I actually changed our mentality to positive. You know, trying to play a bit better football. It seemed to work for us. Thought, well, I'm not going back to cautious anymore. Maybe I could have or should have at some point, because in this game here against Coventry, we lost 2-1. Harry Evans coming back from injury with a 6.3 rating in this game. Yeah, he's not been great in the last 5 games since he returned from his injury. And then most recently in the game that might be the worst game of Football Manager I've had during this save game, we lost 1-0 to Swansea. Yeah, they scored from that chance there. That came just before the hour mark. That was literally the only highlight of the game. Not a classic. Now, like I already mentioned, for those games, I started playing positively, and it worked initially, you know, a few good results against Sheffield Wednesday and co, but the two games most recently, and the fact that we're playing against Liverpool, made me think that today, probably best off approaching things with a cautious mentality. Now, in a little bit of team news as of late, Amari Hutchinson's had a little short spell on the sideline. In fact, the 2 games we lost were games where he was not playing for us due to this injury. You can see here, not ready for a fitness test. This is the second time in the last couple of months he suffered an injury. It's a little bit concerning that these issues all started kind of popping up after I agreed to sign him for £3.3 million. He actually has got 1 assist in the league since we agreed to sign him back in November. Yeah, maybe I pulled the trigger on that £3.3 million bid a little early. And another injury that is going to be a massive blow for us is Haig Dolk, who's currently out injured, as you can see here, out for 5 to 10 days. That is an annoying one. I feel like he is our best defensive midfielder by a country mile. And I feel like, especially in a game like Liverpool away, having your best defensive midfielder is probably advisable. Now, in terms of the plan for today's episode, we're going to do the game against Liverpool in the FA Cup. We are then, of course, in mid-March. A youth intake is going to come at some point. I'm sorry to the Millwall faithful out there. We're not going to worry about Millwall today. They're down in 21st. Instead, we're going to come back for a game towards the end of the month, away against Luton in 9th. We scraped by against them in the FA Cup. Feel like they're going to be a real test for us. But yeah, it's weird. Despite the fact we've fallen out the automatic promotion spots, I kind of look at Bournemouth and Norwich, and it was kind of predictable. In a weird way, I feel like I'd come to my senses and realised that the overperformance and that momentum that we had at the start of the year had kind of gone. In fact, I think in our last 16 games, we've lost 8 of them in the league. It's just not been there. I feel like we've kind of found our level. Teams have worked out how we played. They're punishing us as a result. That said, I will point to the XG table that suggests we should be 10 points clear of Bournemouth and just accuse us of being rather unlucky. I say Bournemouth. Actually, no, it's Sheffield Wednesday by us. Bournemouth are down in 5th. Now, this game against Liverpool is going to be really nice. It's at Anfield. Of course, FA Cup quarterfinals is always kind of big. If we could get to a game at Wembley after this, that would be absolutely mega. Definitely not expecting that. But in terms of what it could do for our finances, it could definitely be useful. Our overall balance is just dipped below £1 million. Still burning money at an alarming rate. A little bit of gate receipts here could be nice. I do have a sneaking suspicion that after today's games, there's only going to be Premier League teams left. We're going to try and upset the odds. Now, in terms of team news today, Amari Hutchinson out, Haig Dolk also out. We are picking a team largely based on form. Marcus Sheldon, great player, has been very hit and miss lately. I have decided to drop him from the team for today's game, despite how well he is training and developing. On the pitch, he's just been a bit of a letdown. So I am going to go with Rashid Mohammed. Of course, he got that hat-trick against West Brom. He is continuing to develop nicely as well. There is a small part of me that was kind of tempted to drop Andy White for this game. I feel like, maybe I should lean on Sheldon and Mohammed as the two permanent players who, obviously, unlike White, are actually contracted to us. But I do look at Andy White and I kind of think, yeah, he's just got to play, hasn't he? In terms of the rest of the team, Ramsey is still in at centre attacking mid. He has been so poor lately, but the reality is there really isn't a good player to drop in for him in the final third. I mean, Joe Gelhardt might be that man. He's just not putting the performances when I've given him chances. He's had lots of issues of injuries. I mean, it's safe to say his performances in the Championship this year left a lot to be desired. Elsewhere, with Amari Hutchinson injured, Wallace has actually been the go-to left wing-back option. He's been a ray of sunshine, I feel like, so far this year. 5 assists in 15 league appearances, not too shabby. The 18-year-old continuing to develop really well. We're going to give him a chance to show us what he's all about here against Liverpool. And in terms of the rest of the defence, we're back at full strength. And Mbete, Edmondson, JJ, who you'll notice here, is now natural at centre-back. Yeah, of course, he was a defensive midfielder. We've trained him to play centre-back. He's actually been pretty good this year. And in goal, Evans, since he's come back from his injury, hasn't been amazing. Today would be a really good day for him to turn up and be at his best. Please. In terms of Liverpool in this universe, they're managed by Unai Emery. They've got Jamal Musiala as their main man. He's quite good in Football Manager, although crucially, he's injured, so that's a small plus. Obviously, we're quite far into the future now, so some of the players you might expect to see here at Liverpool are no longer here. What I will say is, it's still a very bloody strong team. Kind of hoping inside they're going to play a rotated team to give me a little chance of making it to the FA Cup semi-final. This, however, definitely a free hit of a fixture. It's a game that we're going into. There's not expectation here. I'm not going into this thinking, yeah, we're going to give them this amazing game and we're going to beat them. Rather, I would just like us not to get embarrassed. Although, they're playing a semi-rotated team and they're playing a 4-4-2. Now, don't get me wrong, their team is still very strong. But look at the way their midfield's set up. Might be able to overwhelm them there. They're playing with McAllister and Trent as kind of a lone centre-mid setup, and I think that could work out really nicely in our favour. We are going to force the play through the middle, which is what we do normally, but with our two defensive mids and one centre attacking mid, maybe we could cause them issues. They do have a chance immediately. It was McAllister. Maybe instead of worrying about how I'm going to break them down and score, I should be more worried about how I'm going to stop them scoring. Corners. Evans saves it. I'm not enjoying this. Dominic Szoboszlai with the corner, whipping it back post. Mbete gets it away. Trent is still lurking away. Do not like this one little bit. Can we get this away from danger? Edge of the box. That'll do me. Rashid, just kick it out into touch, please. He got the memo. Not that I'm getting ahead of myself here. I just need to check. Does this game go to a replay? The answer is it doesn't. It would go to extra time and penalties. Hold on, lads. Right, Doig has the ball for us. He's going to give it to Trent. Gakpo now with it. Cody. Dispossessed by Ajaria, but only as far as Sutalo. The centre-back steps out with the ball and shoots, and he probably shouldn't have. I mean, look, we've lasted till half-time. 45 minutes survived, 45 minutes plus extra time to go. I'm going to tell the players they've not been good enough. I mean, Liverpool are playing a semi-rotated team here, but when you look at their front four, I mean, when you look at their whole team, it's still a very, very good team that we are currently holding firm against. I feel like, the cautious mentality, it's not working against Championship teams anymore, but Premier League teams are surely going to come and attack us. And with that in mind, maybe our game plan that stopped working in the league can still work in games like this one. We've held on. We need just one chance going forward, and maybe it could happen here. Rashid Mohammed with the ball, lays it back to Flood, kind of. Doesn't pick out the intended target of the pass, but we win the ball back nicely, and now it's JB who's slotting in at defensive mid, bringing forward the ball. JB, all on his lonesome. And, I mean, that's the first chance we've had all game. It wasn't a great one. I mean, I'll be honest, they are doing nothing. We're not doing a great deal. There's only 30 minutes left in this game. I kind of want to bring in some fresh legs or something. I think that's the play at this point. Marcus Sheldon, down you come. I'm going to take off Andy White, I think, in this game here. Or am I? Now, you know what? I'm not. I'm going to play Andy White as the pressing forward and bring in Sheldon up top. In the final third, I wish I had a better centre attack in mid to bring on, but Joe Gelhardt is the one option. Ramsey's not had a good game at left wing back. I'm going to bring in AA in at left wing back. AA, by the way, has had literally no development this year. It's actually crazy. I think he's got worse lately with all the injuries. I mean, in terms of the rest of the team, I could bring in some fresh legs. Ajari has been showing a little bit of fatigue game to game. Kevin Pinto's not an awful right wing back option. I mean, none of these players are bad for me in league games. I suppose the difference is all my depth players are awful compared to Liverpool starters, which makes it more intimidating when I make these changes. Having subbed on AA, he's got booked almost instantly. That's what you want to see, isn't it? Liverpool are changing things up. They've made some subs. They've brought in Mara in the final third. And yeah, there's 10 minutes left. They're doing nothing. We're not doing anything either. McAllister's got a free kick, though. And that wasn't far away. I'll level with you. You look at the match momentum here. We are currently FMing them royally, but we're still in it. I mean, this is going to go to extra time. 4 minutes of added time. Unless Mbete plays it forward. Edmondson takes it down. Can we somehow get this forward and into a dangerous area? JJ to JB. Andy White. That was actually a chance, and Sheldon did not need to shoot so early. He blazes over the bar. 4 minutes of added time come and go. I mean, we've taken Liverpool to extra time. In the FA Cup quarter-final, why not believe that we could win this competition through pure, rude word, hit-housery? There we go. My mum, who watches these videos, won't tell me off for swearing now. It's a family-friendly show. Or at least it might be. If they score, it might not be PG-13 anymore. There might be some expletives uttered under my breath. Liverpool bringing it forward. It's Doak with the ball. Lays it wide to Alexander-Arnold, who's dropped back in at right back now. He was at centre-mid earlier. Edison for them. Szoboszlai. Not far wide, but it's gone wide. Everything's fine. Oh, my word. We have a free kick. Andy. Andy, please. If there's a time, Football Manager gods, it's now. It's not far over. I actually believed he was going to score for a moment. And Mbete with another free kick. You know what? We've actually created chances here. JB, make something happen. Flood to AA. Can he deliver? Back post. Andy. I mean, that just shouldn't be a highlight, should it? I'm going to encourage the players. I mean, it's still 0-0. It's frankly an awful game, but this is fine. Tamori to Edison. Szoboszlai dinks it. Mara shoots wide. We have an awful relationship with penalty shootouts in this save game. And yeah, I think we could be destined for another one here. There's 5 minutes of added time. Is there to be a late twist in the tail? I've not made nearly as many subs as I should have in this game, but I've kind of just kept faith with the players on the pitch. Zatalo plays it forward to Trent. He's bringing it forward. I don't like this. I do not like this. That man, Trent, get the ball to his feet. He's scary. They play it through the middle. Cody Gakpo, one-on-one, shoots. Evans saves it. Right, you know what? I'm going to make some subs now. I need just bodies in the middle. Matos and Marsh, on you come, mate. Lads, you're both just going to play defensive midfielder. That's the plan. We are now parking a tank in the middle of the pitch. I've got one more sub if I want it. I mean, there's literally no time left here, but I'm going to bring in Gelhardt to take a penalty. 119, 120. We're going to penalties at Anfield. It's a sensational performance. Suddenly, I'm glad I brought on Gelhardt and brought on Matos and Marsh, because they are actually better penalty takers than some of our players. Neil can pick the lineup. In Neil we trust. This just isn't fun. You've done so well to get this far. I'm very proud. Now let's give it one last go. This is for a chance to play at Wembley. Also, we need to go to the behind the goal angle here. Stuff's getting real. We lost 2 penalty shootouts, if I'm not mistaken, against Man City. We're not going to lose another, are we? We might be about to. Evans, I need you to be a hero, mate. He steps up. He goes the wrong way. First penalty missed. Joe Gelhardt letting me down one last time. Andy White, you would never let me down. I'm never going to give you up. That's why. What a bloke. I mean, crucially at this point now, Liverpool do have to miss a penalty. Trent steps up, goes down the middle. Evans jumps out the way. Sheldon stepping up. We have to score every one of these. That is a banging penalty. Wowzer, right into the top corner. It's now Gakpo up for them. Cody, go on, miss it. He steps up, he shoots. Hits the target. Miss this penalty and Liverpool just have to score their final one. Or not even their final one, their 4th penalty to knock us out. It creeps in off the post. That was heart-in-mouth moment. I still need Liverpool to miss a penalty. They've only got 2 more left of the initial 5. Edison steps up, he shoots, Evans tips it over. And it's basically sudden death from this point onwards. Marsh, he's a leader in the dressing room, is Marsh. He steps up. I can't believe it. How have we lost so many penalty shootouts in this save game? And it's always against Premier League teams. I mean, we've not lost it yet, but we probably have. Mara's walking up in slow motion to really rub it in. We've battled so hard here at Anfield. We came here for the payday. I started to believe late on. And I believe no longer. Liverpool win the shootout 4-3. I just feel sad inside. How can you not feel sad? Their goalkeeper's got man of the match. You did yourselves proud. That's all I could ask for. Like, I feel like if we get up to the Premier League, maybe we'll just be able to stay up doing what we've done for the first half of the Championship season. The issue is, as things stand, we're not going up. And elsewhere, Bournemouth managed to win. Norwich actually lost, but Norwich are so far clear at the top, I'm not really worrying about them anymore. Also, Birmingham have now gone ahead of us. Yeah, the games really are heating up. So like I said, our next game is against Millwall down in 21st. But rather than come back for that one, because I want to make sure we definitely cover the youth intake, and I'm not sure when it's going to come in March. Instead, today we're going to do the Luton game, which is on the 25th. I assume that we will have our youth intake before that Luton game happens. So coming up in just a moment is the youth intake. Then we've got Luton. Hopefully we beat Millwall in the meantime. I'm really sad about how we've just lost that game. Right, I'll get over it. Hopefully the intake's good to cheer me up. Safe to say we passed this Millwall test with flying colours. 5-1 win at home. Andy White hat-trick. Yes, if there's been some question marks over his returns this year, that does take his goal-scoring tally in the league this year to 20 goals. Not a bad hat-trick. Have to question, what are Burnley in the Championship thinking about this? Their loanee to us is one of the top goal scorers in the division they play in. I've seen a lot of comments telling me, Jack, you've got to sign Andy White. I agree. He's on £81,000 a week at Burnley. Has a non-promotion release clause of £29 million. They're not going to be promoted this year, are they, Burnley? Well, I know, actually, you know what? That could be horrifically jinxing it, because I could still play them in the playoffs, I realise. You know what? Edit that bit out, editing Jack. Now, today we are taking on Luton, but that's not why you've kept watching this video, is it? Let's be honest, you're here for their youth candidates, of which 4 really potentially great players. Behind door number 1, Carl Haworth. Is he good? I'm not sure. He's got great potential, the goalkeeper. He's a very tall individual, although he hasn't got the best jumping reach or aerial reach. But you know what? He's got the frame of a goalkeeper. At 15 years old, he could be very good. Primary concern, if I'm being real with you, the shot stopping. 6 for his one-on-ones is a massive, massive issue. 7 for communication, I don't love. His passing isn't the best either. Truthfully, he could be great, but because he's 15, it's going to be a long time before we know, can he actually fulfill this potential? If he does develop, maybe he could be a great player for us. Behind door number 2, we have JJ. Jeremiah Julien. JJ. It just rolls off the tongue. This guy, naturally a left attacking mid. My plan for him, striker. Feel like actually when you look at him, the mould of player that he could be as an advanced forward is, well, very, very evident here. Strong with either foot. Bit of a shame he's inconsistent. Bit of a shame that he's only got fairly professional personality, although to be fair, that's not a bad personality, really. Bags of potential, but like, well, all these players really, a long way from the first team. So we've got JJ who plays on the left. We also have Josh Kerr here who plays on the right. Another player who I think longer term probably going to end up being a striker for us. I think compared to JJ, well, you can see here, he's just not at the same level whatsoever. It's kind of interesting. When you look at the scout report here, you think, half a star difference? Is it that big? The reality is Kerr is a long, long way off being the same level as JJ. I mean, look at his injury proneness. It could be an issue. He's already got injured in his first ever game as a youth candidate in the youth candidate game. And the last of the players that I'm particularly excited about is Jarius McAvoy. I hope I've said that correctly. This guy could be great. He has low determination. That's not so great, but unlike all the other players, he is at least a consistent performer. Physically, definitely lacking, but his technicals are good. Has some decent mentals as well. Currently naturally a striker, although I am training him to play as a shadow striker. I do think centre attacking mid for this guy probably is going to be where he ends up playing. Sadly, nowhere near the quality needed for the first team. In fact, of all the players that we've got through this intake, JJ is the only one who I think maybe could be in the first team sooner rather than later. But to be real, in order to reach that, he's going to have to improve a lot. But you know what? There's been players that have come through the youth intake that I've kind of said they could be good, but we're going to have to wait. And one of those players who I've waited on and is actually starting to look good is Niall Townsend. Don't be deceived by his little red arrows and a couple of his attributes lately. This 19-year-old to me looks absolutely immense. If we don't get promoted this year, I can see a world where I'm bringing him into the first team. Obviously, Ramsey is our current go-to centre attack in mid. Aaron Ramsey, valued at 29 to 32 million. I'm not going to suggest that Niall Townsend could come in and replace the man if I decided to cash in on Aaron, but he's not a million miles away. I mean, he's like 1,000 miles away, but at 19 years old, and he only turned 19 a couple of months ago, he could still be great. And another player who's looking better and better and better is Axel Durand. This guy, 18 years old, playing regularly for Guyana now. We've actually been training him to play as a shadow striker as of late. I think long-term, that is perhaps the one spot in the team he could come in at. Obviously, we don't play with wider players. As a wing-back, he leaves a little bit to be desired, but at 18, he looks good. He is a player who's really emerged from out of absolutely nowhere. Look at this development since he came to us. I like the look of him a fair bit. There are a few other players here that have some potential that we've talked about before. Of course, Dalton Purple we signed in the off-season this year from Derby. He's actually looking fairly solid. Sav Bamford was the best player in our intake last year. I'm going to be honest, I don't think he's ever going to be good enough to play for us. Josh Murray is this player who has loads of potential but just hasn't really developed in recent years. Honestly, probably should be looking to sell him given the fact his value is over £1 million. And you know what? One more player for good measure, Bob Davis. This guy was tipped to have a load of potential when he first generated at us. If you look at his development all time, he has actually improved a lot in his mentals and his physicals. His technical development has been massively, massively lacking, which is a bit weird because he never was the most mobile player. At 20 years old now, turning 21 sooner rather than later, probably need to just cash in on him. I mean, there's a few players like this where I look at them and think, you're never going to be good enough for us. This summer, that might end up being a focus. Anyway, in terms of the focus for now, it's our game in hand that we have as a result of our FA Cup adventure, where we are taking on Luton, who are also, well, playing a game in hand. If they win this game here, they could climb up towards, well, the playoffs. They could be 3 points away from the playoffs if they beat us here. If we beat them, with 5 games left of the year, things aren't looking so rosy. As for our own current situation, Bournemouth and Birmingham played recently. Bournemouth actually won in that game. That was kind of played in the last game week. Elsewhere, Norwich managed to win that game week over Lincoln. I believe if we win this game here, we might be guaranteed a spot in the playoffs, or at least very, very close to being guaranteed a spot in the playoffs. There's not many games left this season all of a sudden. But, and it's a little bit of a big but, we're going to have to do it without some crucial players, because Gavin Wallace is on international duty with England's under-20s. Carl Flood is also on international duty. Andy White has just been on international duty with England's under-21s, and so's Ajaria. They have come back just dead, basically. Their fitness is so bad, it's not even worth having them on the bench for this game. That is frustrating. Little bit of good news, perhaps. Amari Hutchinson, fit to play 75 minutes. Flood as well. You can see here, he's on international duty. So, we have got a few players on international duty. Bit miffed off that I didn't get given the option to postpone the game, but we've got to deal with the hand that we've got. Pinto's in the team, JB's in the team. Up top, it's going to be Mohammed and Sheldon, the former Reading men, alongside one another. I'm going to hope we've got enough about us to get a result here away from home. Anyway, let's get straight into this game. Nice early highlight in this one. I am playing on the cautious mentality, of course. I mentioned we tried playing on positive. It worked a little bit, and then we had back-to-back defeats. I played this mentality against Millwall when we beat them 5-1. I'm going to stick with it here. I'm going to hope that Mohammed can stay onside. That shot was off target. Wouldn't have counted anyway. Moreton switching it across to Nathan. Of course, we took on Luton right at the start this year. It was a banger of a game. Are we going to have another goal bonanza? Potentially, because Aaron Ramsey's scored one there. That isn't... Well, I was going to say it was an absolute screamer from range. It's P-rolled in, hasn't it? I'm not one for wanting to shine a light on people and say, that's your fault. I'm going to argue, for the sake of Luton, their goalkeeper should probably do better there. Okay, half an hour played in this game. Not been a classic, not been a load of highlights, but you know what? We've got our noses ahead. Does it even matter if we go on to get the win? Haig Dolt whips it in. Sheldon's under it. Cleared away. Ramsey wins one header. Falls to JB. He pulls the trigger. It's blocked. Dolt back from injury. Going to break down the play. And now we're looking at Pinto, our right wing back, to play it forward. That is a great ball. Mohammed in behind. He scores. Is he onside? The flag's not been raised. It's going to count. And I'll level with you, I was scared to celebrate this one. Did anyone else think this was offside? Mohammed making the run in behind, not picked up, and a really cheeky finish. Maybe the keeper again could have done better. We do not care. Obviously, the frustrating thing at the moment is, with, 5 games left of the season after this one? Even if we win all our remaining games, it might not be enough. We have to keep winning. That's all we can do. But Bournemouth are in control. And while this game here, whilst we're 2-0 up, maybe I shouldn't be thinking about this one being a done deal just yet. They just hit the post. Throw in on the far side. Luton maybe just starting to get a little bit of momentum on their side. Although when they give the ball away like that, maybe they're just opening themselves up for the counter-attack. It's Sheldon to Mohamed, who's getting in behind. Sheldon is to his left. He could square it. He doesn't square it. He goes all on his lonesome. Rashid Mohamed with the goal. And you know what? If there's a concern the next year without Andy White, the goals might vanish. I think performances like this show that without Andy White, the goals don't have to vanish. Rashid Mohamed definitely should have passed it here. But you know what? He's been a greedy goal scorer. It's found the back of the net. I'm not going to blame him. Obviously, if he missed that, I would have then blamed him and got angry and annoyed with him. But I'm not going to blame him for shooting it. It went in. It's fine. 4 minutes of added time at the end of this first half. I'll tell you what a half that has been. The cautious mentality coming up trumps. We're doing brilliantly away from home. Finishing everything that's coming our way. Haigdalt coming back from injury is on a booking. You know what? I'm going to be sensible here. We're going to bring in Alex Matos at defensive midfielder. In terms of the rest of the team, everyone's just kind of playing fine. So no more changes, Your Honour. At least for now. We'll probably make some in a little bit. 25 minutes remaining in this game. I mean, a fourth goal, and we are going to be having a party. This has been a great game so far. Amari Hutchinson, of course, was told should play 75 minutes. I think I'm going to take him on off after this highlight. Could we get one more goal before that happens? Of course we can. It falls to Sheldon. In case it isn't obvious, my Christmas Eve gift to you tomorrow is going to be the end of the league season. Could we hunt down Bournemouth? Are we destined for the playoffs? I'll tell you now, it looks like we're going to go down swinging. I mean, Luton at this point, purely playing for pride. They aren't just looking, well, not very good in this game. I said if they lost this game, they could maybe wave goodbye to their playoff hopes. I think they were waving goodbye to them at the end of the first half. Unless they can score 3 more. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Okay, we've brought on AA, we've brought on Will Fish, just trying to get some fresh legs into the team to see out this game. Mohamed has been absolutely sensational in this one. 2 assists, 2 goals, 9.9 rating, and despite that mini scare as Luton got 1 goal back, well, I was going to say this game is going to wrap up at 4-1. It might not be 4-1. There could still be one last twist. Could there? Surely not. Let's not concede the second goal. That would really take the shine off what's been an absolutely sensational performance. Hashioka hits it over. That will be that. Definitely a deserved 4-1 win there. 3 points scored on the board. It does pull us, as you can see here, 5 points clear of Birmingham. We are just about guaranteed a playoff spot. Not quite mathematically just yet, but that will almost certainly be the case by next episode. As for Bournemouth, they remain 3 points ahead of us. Rashid Mohamed, remember the name. He is looking like a really, really good little player. Had a big setback when he obviously broke his foot. But after 4 months out, he has come back, and he has come back with a bit of a bang. Now, looking at the league table as things stand, being realistic, we are all but guaranteed a playoff spot. Tomorrow is going to be about trying to catch Bournemouth. In terms of our remaining games, game number 1, Burnley, then Bristol City, Middlesbrough, Oxford, and then Sunderland. In terms of the games I'm going to come back for, I think we'll come back for the final 3, assuming that stuff is all on the line, hoping that maybe we can make the impossible happen and hunt down Bournemouth. Despite the fact things didn't exactly go to plan today, you know what? Pretty happy with the episode on the whole. We pushed Liverpool to their limits. We had a decent youth intake, got a nice couple of wins, especially that one against Luton. We'll set up nicely for things tomorrow. Hopefully you guys are excited for it. Have a lovely rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow for more Park to Prem action. And until next time, it is me, Jack. I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.